So I'm just finished off my Bruce Squee from the last video, and I've not really finished my chocolate spread sandwiches. I had a comment on my last video from a guy called Built by Ben, who's also on Twitter. He says, interesting video, can I request something for the future? What is a media server and why do I need one? What's wrong with storing media on a desktop/laptop? Advantages of a dedicated server, etc. So, this was from my setup video, and obviously I've got that media server set up. So why did I bother with a media server? Why didn't I just put all the content on my desktop and maybe just share it through that or whatever? So for a start, what I used to do is I used to have like a bank of hard drives, and they were in my main PC. Now, there are several disadvantages to this. A meant that I had to have my main PC on all the time if I wanted to share it across the network. B, it also reduced cooling in my machine, so it used to block the front of the machine, and it reduced the cooling a lot. And because there was more hard drives in there was increased heat and blah blah blah. It also meant that they were kind of a bit volatile in the fact that they're on an active operating system that I use all the time. So because they're on my active operating system that I use all the time, although I did used to reinstall a lot, there could be the potential for virus attacks and other things like that. Because it's my primary machine, I'm accessing the web through it and accessing everything else through it. And it also meant that I didn't bother setting up a share to it, because I never really bothered. I just used to put it through that, and that was that. So then what I did was I found a really good deal on eBay, and then I bought a HP server or Microsoft server. And why did I do that? Well, I wanted to get my hard drives out of my machine and put them somewhere else. Either put them into another machine or put them on NAS or something like that. And because that machine was a really good deal, 100 odd quid with cash back, I got it. Because it was about the same price as a proper NAS, so I thought, well, I might as well get a proper server. If I'm going to do it, get a proper server, AMD Triton or whatever it was, 4 gigs of RAM, done. And so I've got that up and running. I'm using Windows Home Server, and it's effing amazing. So what is my setup currently at the moment? Well, at the moment I've got it set up as a share, and I share that with pretty much any machine I want. So I've got it shared to my desktop, and I've got it shared to my laptop, and I've got it shared. Well, I've actually got Air Video set up so I can watch it on my iPad. So that means it's got a central hub for everything, and because that draws less power, I can keep it on all the time, and it doesn't necessarily matter too much, in terms of drawing power. So because I can keep it on pretty much all the time, I don't have to have my main PC turned on all the time, and that's that. I suppose that's really kind of the only reason why I've kind of had a dedicated one, really, which is that it kind of gets it out of my main machine. If it's not in my main machine, it means I can access it anywhere. Now, he said about put it on a laptop. Also, it being in over there and it's on a dedicated server, I've got more space to play around. I mean, obviously, if it was in on a desktop, I'd have the same amount of space in terms of actual physical space. So I've currently got 8 or 10 terabytes in there at the moment, which is kind of almost run out now. Whereas on a laptop, obviously, you're limited to, well, at the moment, probably about a terabyte of space on the internal drive, or maybe even like two or three on an external, which is okay, I suppose, if you don't have that much data. But because I back up all my Blu-rays are on it, on it and stuff like that, it also means in the future, because it's on a dedicated server, it's out of anything else, so I can use it to stream it to any other device. So I can use it to stream it to an Android device, to my Apple TV, because I can have I put an iTunes thing on there and do streaming through that. So there's lots of possibilities, and it also means I can do managed permissions. So I can say if for instance, because this is just a home setup and this is just for me, this is not really for anybody else. If, for instance, I had a family and I had, I don't know, maybe a porn collection, putting out there, I don't want my wife to be able to see that. I don't want my kids to be able to access it. So I'm going to set that as just permissions for me to be able to see. That's a very extreme example, but perhaps something maybe like films. You could have child-friendly films that the children can watch at the heart's content on any device on the network, and it's fine. You could then have another folder where you had, 18 films that you could that only then adults could view. It's the same with sensitive information. So maybe you had, your kids have got some schoolwork somewhere, they want to be able to access that, but you don't want them to be able to access your work stuff, for instance. So that's really helpful for stuff like that as well. And it means it's not on your main machine, and there's lots of reasons why I've kind of gone with the dedicated server route, but the main kind of reason really is to get my hard drives out of my main machine, put it onto another machine that is dedicated to that cause. It draws less power. It's cooler. I can leave it on all the time, and it means my main machine's freed up to do gaming and video editing and all the other bits and pieces that I want to use my main machine more for. It does cause... Well, it doesn't actually cause a pain in the ass. I mean, the only thing you have to worry about is you have to map the network drive in all the time. But that's it. There's no other things to worry about. At the moment, I've got it mapped into this. My laptop, which is currently sitting over here. I've also got it mapped into that. And also, it means I can share it to any device on the network. So I can share it to my iPad. You have to set up a few things, like you've got to install third-party program and stuff like that. But I can stream to my iPad. So when I'm laying in bed and I cannot sleep and I can't be bothered to get up and put the projector on, I could just go on my iPad, bing, 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 done. I would suggest, built by Ben, that if you're asking about it, go and get it. If you've got some money kicking around, you've got 100 quid kicking around, go and get it. I mean, the only thing you doesn't include with that 100 odd quid, I mean, they're still doing that deal as well. If you want to go out and buy it, I'll put a link in the description below. HP Microserver still doing that £100 cashback deal, which is bloody amazing. Go and get a HP server. It comes with a hard drive anyway, but to be honest, I would probably... I mean, that hard drive is like 250, which is okay, but it kind of wastes a space. And then all you need to do is get some drives. Get some 2TB drives, either set up a RAID, get some RAID going, or don't worry with RAID at all and just have separate individual drives, which is what I've currently got because I upgraded gradually. I originally had a 2TB, then I got another 2TB, and then I got another 2TB, and then I got another 2TB. I've now got nowhere else to put it, so because I can't back it up to anywhere, they're not RAIDed. Eventually I'll get some 3TB drives, RAID them up, and then put all the data across. RAIDing has several advantages. A, you can back up stuff. So if you had like RAID 1 going, is RAID 1? RAID 1 just copies it straight over. RAID 0, I think, RAID 0 stripes it, so it's increased speeds. So you have like different bits of data on every single drive, but basically it times... That one drive is, or however, like 10 megabits. If you times that then by 5, because you've then got 5 different drives, because it's striped across the lot, it's then 50 megabits. That's kind of what you're looking at. I know that's a very weird example, but I'm just trying to think that's probably gigs. So look at it in gigs. So if one drive is 1 gigabit, 5 drives would be 5 gigabit, theoretically anyway. But yeah, that's literally kind of really a lot. There's not really much more to say, but of course you're more than welcome to hit me up on Twitter @AzzyChill, and I shall catch you in a later video.